So, welcome everyone. We'll nip through this quite quickly. Apologies for absence. Theresa, we went on holiday.
Yep, Theresa, Councillor Bennett.
Yep. Okay. The rest of us are here. Excellent. Do we have any declarations of interest tonight?
Not for me.
No.
No.
Claudia, Charlotte, any declarations of interest? No. Okay. Has everyone had a chance to read the minutes of previous? For those that are present, do we have any corrections?
No corrections.
Good.
No corrections.
Charlotte, any corrections from the previous? No. Okay. Can I have a proposer?
Yep,
I'll second. Actions arising. Were there any actions arising? From what I remember, the minutes, there were no actions from the previous.
I think there was I don't know if it's actually listed there, but there was we updated the FAQs.
Yeah.
And there were a couple of questions on it, which I think bounced back with you.
Yeah.
So I know it's a fairly fluid thing, but
Yeah.
it'd be good to keep on progressing. I think
Have
we're on
they been
version
addressed?
6. No.
Okay, so there's an action still for me to.
Yeah, just,
look at
if
Q&A.
you just look through, there's 2 places I think where
Yeah.
it says John to check, confirm, and we might add some more to it tonight, but
Sure.
I'd like to keep on top of what we've got.
Lovely. Yeah, I can do that. Any other actions arising from the last meeting?
There's nothing in
Okay.
there.
Cool. So where starts the meat of the meeting? Public participation.
No.
What is that? Okay. Okay, so progress reports or updates. I think there's nothing unique that's not covered in the agenda. Does anyone else have something that's not covered in the agenda that they need an update from or for?
Not an update, but
Yeah,
we're going to come to HGVs on the
we are.
agenda.
That's right.
Also some issues with Browns Lane and potholes.
Yep.
I'd like to raise because they've closed Church Street today.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah,
that's
I've
nothing.
got an update for Brown Street, so we can cover that then. But there's nothing else that's on a progress that we haven't got on the agenda. True?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, expenditure items. So this is the time of year when we're trying to think ahead of what we might envisage we could do with this committee. Historically, we have focused on speed indicator devices. We have put some budget aside for Browns Lane. We have looked at how we might support West Sussex with crossing points. So at this point, it's just to open up the floor to say, what creatively should we be putting in our discretionary budget for the rest of the council and things that this committee want to do? Now, one of the things I'd like to just throw out there at the moment is that ANPR cameras give us a lot of information about what's happening in the village. We have looked at various solutions before, so there's one by Westco Tech that we've looked at that just gives us not necessarily an enforceable picture, but more information. Currently, the data loops are positioned, sort of one's outside of the cycle shop and doesn't really give us the full picture of what's happening on the high street. I know that personally because I sit there every single day and watch lorries going too quickly, maybe appropriate for the, not appropriate, maybe legal for the speed, but certainly not appropriate for the road. What we don't have though is proper evidence that we could then position a report. I would like to bring next time to our committee a proposal that we would buy an ANPR camera from Westco Tech that would allow us, without enforcement, but just purely as a data recording position. It would give us speed, it would give us number plates, which we could then use to work out whether we have reoccurring offenders. What we do with the data is more complicated because we don't have enforcement rights, the police aren't particularly interested at the moment, but we don't have the data. I will produce a paper for next meeting that will outline what that would be. We did talk about this last year and there's budget this year to support that project, but I've not pulled the paperwork together to enable us to make that decision.
And just a die on sort of costings, do you think?
£7 grand.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
That's installation and everything.
That's right. Yeah.
And would this enhance our arguments, discussions with West Sussex County Council?
Well, I think it helps West Sussex, but also helps our residents, because I think a lot of people perceive there's only one condition on the high street, which is stationary, and that is absolutely false.
Yes.
You know, it's almost a nonsense to say that the only speed is below 20, because I watch them every day. I watch HGVs are going round corners that are blind on narrow pavements that they couldn't possibly stop if there was a problem. But no empirical evidence. The ANPR camera would allow us some more proper, realistic data.
In one direction or two directions?
It would do both directions, but positions favour
Okay.
one direction if we can position them. The same as we've got the ANPR camera currently, which is not looking at speeds, it's looking at flow.
Okay.
That's the one that Horsham have put in recently. It's a weak analysis.
West Sussex.
Horsham, yeah. And it's a weak analysis to just look at where does it come, where does it go, how long is it spending in the village, does it, is it local traffic or general?
Are these networked to an extent where it can actually flag somebody who's driven, for example, from Portsmouth?
Yeah.
And will it pick it up? Will it show its original starting point, or are there ANPRs that will track where it's coming from? At what
There
point?
is no network of ANPRs currently.
Right.
So what we would do internally would be just to collect data without any owner recognition. It would be purely a number plate doing certain things. We could report it by a crackdown to the police and they would then do something with
I'm
it.
just talking about the one that Horsham brought up.
Okay, so the Horsham, they've done 8 points in the village.
Okay.
So there's out of Amberley, there's near Water Lane, there's along Palmer Road. So they've basically taken Storrington, put a ring around it and said, if we watch traffic from here and see where it goes in and out and the time it takes, we can work out whether it's stopped in there or just travelled through. Remembrance ceremonies aside.
Yeah.
So the idea is to get a flow. How many HGVs are just literally coming through the village and going out the other end? How many are going and servicing our businesses? What the data will prove, we don't know until we've seen it, but it's a great start for us understanding the flow of traffic through the village.
Is one of those in School Hill?
Yep, there's one just before Friar Road, there's one further up by near to Rock Road to the school, so we can work out what's going up to West Childs, what's going on Friar Road, what's going on School Hill. Yeah, I mean the pattern is pretty good. The only one that they put in that I wasn't completely convinced about was Hurston Lane.
Sure.
But they literally took the whole of our geography and said, if you were to try and track everybody, where would you put them? And that's the 8 locations they came up with.
Do you know how long it will before that data becomes available?
No idea.
No, because I think it would potentially inform
Yeah.
the budget item you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what it's going to prove to us apart from as we know that we have a lot of traffic going through the village. There's no way the 17,000 vehicles through the high street are staying in our area. We watch the white vans coming through in the mornings. Bernie sees them at one end, I see them at the other end. They're not stopping, they're purely travelling through. This will give us the evidence that we can then go, 15,000 are doing this, 5,000 are doing that, whatever the numbers are, but we'll have some real evidence.
Will one camera be enough?
Well, is that for us? I don't know. I'm just thinking, if we took snapshots of various locations, we'd be able to say, what's the traffic doing outside of, what would be a good place? I suppose close to the traffic lights we have by Mill Drive. Mill Road, yeah, so that would be a really good place because I think traffic's slowing, fast is slowing, you know, it's moving too quickly, and the only data that we have outside the cycle shop doesn't record what's going on anywhere else in the high
One
street.
of the problems, and we see it all the time, is that cars just don't slow down, even though there's a junction 20,
Sure.
30, 40 yards
Yeah.
ahead. And actually, the number of cars that almost, when you're sitting on the roundabout, we all experience this, you sit on the roundabout and you actually visibly see the car accelerate towards the roundabout because they want to beat you getting on the roundabout. And it's contrary to the highway code and everything. But yeah, I think it's a very good idea.
So the point here is to raise with all of us, are there projects that we haven't considered that we need to put into the cycle of budgeting this year for consideration? I'm not asking for items now. We all take away from this meeting, is there something that we think this committee should be sponsoring?
And this is for 2026.
That's right. Yeah, next financial year. Yeah, so that's purely to leave out there.
Okay.
Come back to me with some ideas. We will then debate it at our next council, at our next traffic meeting.
Okay.
Community Highway Scheme progress. So, in terms of update from West Sussex, there is no update from West Sussex. We are in the period of, I'm not sure, it's not consultation, it's the previous. It's the assessment of whether West Sussex and Highways think it's a viable project. We don't know what they're doing, we have no information back from them. We have asked some questions, and there's an action on you, Mark and me, to send a letter to West Sussex regarding the criteria they use.
Yeah.
Because it became quite obvious following our submission that they considered we hadn't met the criteria, but we had never been told what the criteria would be.
Yes.
So our question to them was, you know, where is this described? I mean, my personal feeling is there is sufficient argument that the question should be asked of our community. There is no one side that could go, it is yes or no, but there is absolutely no way that West Sussex can't ask the question of our community. That's my personal view. I mean, everyone I talk to has a similar view. There's additional things that we have also put to West Sussex that says our pavements are below accessibility standards. Even if you forget 20 mile an hour through the high street, what are you going to do to make our pavements and our space safe? You know,
Well, we have a legal duty, do we not?
We do.
Actually,
yeah, we do.
Maintain
West
a
Sussex
safe
do.
environment.
Absolutely. Public sector, I can't remember what it's called. Yeah, but there's a duty on us to make sure that every project we do makes mindful consideration for accessibility for people that are perhaps the minority. You know, it's all well and good saying the majority don't want it, but we're not doing, this is about protecting everybody. This is making sure that people with prams, mobility scooters, rollators have access, free access to our services. So we still have that challenge with West Sussex to say, if you can't do that, what will you do to enhance our pavements? You know, we recognise for years that you cannot build them out. The most efficient mitigation thing is that we would reduce the speed. But I think 20 mile an hour is far too quickly around the Anchor roundabout. I think we should be looking at 5 mile an hour.
Yeah.
You know, if you're genuinely saying people coming down there that we want to protect, 20 mile an hour is lethal. HGVs coming down there because they know that the roundabout is clear, that's their through route.
Yeah.
You know, there is no doubt that is a problem. Anyway, that's been positioned with West Sussex. The community highway scheme was one of the mitigating things we could do, but West Sussex could come back and tell us that they've got better plans or a different set of solutions. So, I know that there is a difference of opinion on some of the aspects, and you've given us a position paper, which thank you for doing that.
You asked for it. So.
Yeah, no, but thank you. You know, that's really appreciated. I don't have many things to say against it, except that our community highway scheme was for many things. I mean, pollution, diverting traffic was one of the components, but a real strong drive for us was making sure that our pedestrians, our residents are safe on those pavements. We also looked at whether we thought the businesses would benefit from a quieter, more inclusive, more stable, less harassing environment. The idea that as a consequence of introducing something like 20 might divert traffic seemed really appealing. The idea that if people felt that there was a better route that was quicker for them, they might take it. But it was never our key objective. When and for months we've been very practical. The idea that we can stop volumes of traffic through our high street, we can't see a particular solution. You know, there's A27, there's a bypass around Storrington. So what our position has been is we accept that we have a number of traffic and the amount of traffic we have, but let's make it more respectful. Let's make it travel through our zone in a way that we can live with. We will then work on what do we do, how can we discourage them to come through our high street, what can we do to push them somewhere else. I'm also conscious though that West Chilt are against us pushing it somewhere else. Yeah, so as a neighbouring community, we don't want to just push the problem, but we have to be focused on, if you're coming through Storrington, do it safely, do it respectfully, do it in a way that we can coexist. Yeah, so in terms of us moving traffic somewhere else, bigger schemes. Yeah. In terms of us reducing pollution, we are hopeful, and there is strong evidence that says if you slow traffic and it's moving at a consistent speed, you don't have the same braking and acceleration. If you also have a slower speed, the distance between you and the next car is reduced, so you don't, again, you actually get more throughput.
But there is also counter evidence that goes against it.
But not, well, I don't know if there's evidence against it. The best evidence I've seen against it says we would expect no improvement, not that we would see negative. So I think at worst case...
I've quoted data that shows...
Okay, well I'll take that on particularly, but I have not personally seen data that says by doing this in our situation that it will be anti. The best evidence says you will get no benefit, but certainly not you get negative. However, it's difficult to know because the stats from many places say best you get, I think it's 20% fuel reduction, faster traffic flow. At worst, you break even.
Chair, can I add something to this? It seems to me that the community highway scheme has been submitted and we're waiting, and we've submitted the evidence, a good document went in, this parish agreed to do that. We can't go around debating decisions that have been made already. That's my view. I don't understand the purpose of even doing that. And I think, while I understand it's really important to have a healthy debate, I also think we need to deal with the issues that we've got on our agenda here, and I think that's really important.
Move it along. I mean,
yeah.
I think for me personally, it was to understand the objections that the community might give us, and for us to be strong in our position about why we felt the decision we made was good. And I still feel there is no evidence I've heard from anyone that says that our decision is a bad one.
No, I totally agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't say it's a bad one. I do say that the local authority documents for the area emphasise that traffic growth is expected in the absence of major strategic upgrades. For example, the A27 Worthing Lancing assessment shows that without the A27 upgrade, congestion and rat running on local rural roads will increase. This suggests that local smoothing alone is unlikely to offset volume growth.
Sure. No, I accept that volume is something we have accepted. We have little control over. We can campaign, we can put our 2 penny into whoever. Our plan is what do we do short term for our community? And biggest thing we can do is make the traffic that does come through our village come through respectfully and slower, and watch our pedestrians, and increase our flow of people into our high street. I mean, I see absolutely no benefit of us having a 30-mile-an-hour high street. I mean, that just to me is, I just don't get it.
Traffic engineering research shows that speed reductions alone, especially in a route that remains attractive and necessary for through traffic, often result in lower throughput, more queues, and might increase emissions per vehicle, especially in urban settings. Unless volumes are cut, the strategic context indicates no large-scale traffic removal mechanism will affect the corridor.
Sure. And I think that's right. Ultimately, if we could find a way of getting traffic around the village, that's got to be the best solution. But in the interim, between now and whatever time something else might happen, we need to do something now. And our now thing is make that traffic go slower for our village. Even if it doesn't stop the volume, it makes our village safer, a nicer place to be, encourage more traffic, more people to our shops, make our coffee shops more active.
I think it's really what we are. What are we able to do? What are we able to do locally that will mitigate the effects of what is happening? We talk about national stuff. I think we all agree that improving the bigger routes, you know, the A27 and all the rest of it, but that happens at national level. We are little minions down here. We can't influence that. So what we've got to do is take on what we believe we can influence for the benefit of the community within our scope.
Yeah.
Anything outside scope.
I would hope we could influence it. We could write to the West Sussex County Council, the MP, and Heidi Gordon. Is it Heidi? No,
Heidi Alexander.
Heidi Alexander. Sorry, wrong Heidi. Heidi Alexander, you know, as the Secretary of State for Transport, pushing the fact that rural communities are suffering.
Absolutely.
Because of lack of
I don't see there's a problem with doing that as a thing, but in terms of what we can do actively for our community, I think we need to keep on with our pathway of a community highway scheme that reduces the speed, makes our high street a more approachable and enjoyable place to come to.
But you have to realise that may actually increase emissions.
Well, okay, I think there's some debate about which side
there's
is that,
debate about
but
that,
I'm
there's
not.
a possibility.
Absolutely. There's a possibility in both ways that we can get traffic through and it's less, or we might get more, but we might get more people coming to the shops, we might not. I mean, there's always a...
We don't know what's going to happen in the future,
That's right.
and
But-
nothing might change.
Exactly, but what we do know is respectfully coming through our village and not driving at 30 mile an hour down the high street in an HGV is good for Storrington. There is nobody that can convince me that lorries doing what they do every single day are benefiting Storrington.
No, absolutely, and we'll come on later to HGV and what we might be able to do about HGV.
It's not just the HGVs.
No, but that's probably my highlight of people that are probably in the speed limit, but absolutely not for what's appropriate for the road.
I mean, Speedwatch aren't capturing a high percentage of HGVs.
No, that's right. But they are inappropriately
That's
speed.
about their
It's
through,
an
that's the through route they take.
Sure. Yeah. So, but in terms of speed, though, through the high street, even when you're doing 30 as an HGV, you are going too fast. Yeah, regardless of the legal speed limit. So we have to do something to say, as a community, we want you to do something different for us. We want you to come through here with a maximum of 20. Not even a target of 20 would be too much. But let's start with, we get you through at 20. Yeah, you will not notice a difference. You will be queuing the same amount of time at the roundabouts, but you will make such a difference to the centre of our town.
But would it not be preferable to encourage them to go along the A27 and up?
Absolutely, absolutely. In addition to
So they don't come through the village.
Sure, absolutely agree. Yeah, if we could do that, that's absolutely true. We want to do that, but those that don't must come through our village at a reasonable speed that respects our villagers.
The problem is not when the village is congested, it's for every second, it's the majority of the time when it's actually not congested. And you hear traffic roaring through, whether it be at 4, 5, 6 in the morning, and after the rush hour of the evening and during the day. Today, the village was absolutely empty when I drove through this afternoon. It was bizarre. It was almost as if something had happened somewhere. And that is a recipe for people just to totally ignore. The topography of the high street from both roundabouts induces people to go fast.
I mean, when Manley's Hill was closed the other week for works, you know, the place was just absolutely beautiful, absolutely silent, really pleasant place to be.
And that's what we noticed about night time. You know, we are trying to encourage our nighttime trade, and that's the time when everyone just goes, well, it's gone beyond 5 o'clock, do what you like. But in terms of people
No,
going
shouldn't
in,
be exceeding 30 though through the village.
I agree, they should never be
And
exceeding
that needs to
30.
be- That needs to be enforced.
They should never be exceeding 20 if you want to make it a place that people want to wander and enjoy, in my view. But at 30, but they don't do 30, they do more than 30. It is not encouraging our nighttime trade, it's not encouraging, enforcement will be another thing, but okay, so I think we've done that one quite well. We'll wait and see what West Sussex say. I think there's a number of fronts. There's the restricted pathways that I don't think they can ignore, regardless of what they do with our community highway scheme. So we'll watch this space.
Okay, thank you.
So following on from enforcement, Alan and team, for a long time we've been talking about enforcement on School Hill and various other places. The argument back from West Sussex has always been we don't have the law behind us to do these things. Recently, West Sussex have applied for, I can't remember the numbers, it was in the report I've sent recently, but it basically said West Sussex now have the authority to enforce moving traffic violations. It's a very small subset, but it does cover doing a right turn up a 7.5 tonne and enforcing it. The difficulty from West Sussex, as far as I understand currently, is they don't have a team, a back office team, that can manage that process.
So is the parish council able to apply for that authority?
I doubt it, but it's a
Should we
question.
try? Should we ask the question?
I don't see any problem trying to ask for it, or just saying to West Sussex. I mean, their argument was there wasn't enough violation to make a team, but if we look at, you know, turning right through Washington, you know, that shouldn't be going through the bus lane routes, there's this going on, that going on. That seems to be a cumulative enough reason for a team. You know, you and us doing it for one road, turning right, probably not. Yeah?
No, but we could do
I
it.
have no difficulty, unless the council have any difficulty. I don't see a problem with asking West Sussex
We
if
can
we
apply
would
for
be
the
allowed
council,
to.
only say no.
I just don't know how we'd resource it. I think our better option would be to campaign against West Sussex and say, you have the authority, we have a need, you know,
Do it.
make us one of the many things that you're going to do.
But if they're always saying that they don't have the resource to do it, it doesn't sound very much like that we're going to get an awful lot of support from them.
Well, we'll see. I mean, I think we've more chance of that than us getting the authority to do it.
And
Let's
of
try
course
it.
you consider devolution.
Yep.
And something might happen in the devolution process, which might actually move not just assets down,
Sure.
but powers down as
I mean,
well.
honestly, nothing should be off the table. Our vision is that we stop people going up and down that road that shouldn't.
I mean, can we just ask the question? You know, is it
No
possible for us to
problem.
get the authority to do, you know, the
Yep.
powers to do this?
Sure.
And see whether they just say yes or no.
Yep, so we can do that, but I think we should really be pushing for, you have the authority, we have a need, get on and make an NPR camera on our school hill, yeah?
Yeah.
So I would like to ask the office to generate a letter to West Sussex. We've already got a framework of that, to ask for that. We could include the bit you said, Alan, about the, you know, longer term, could we have the authority, or be mindful that that would be a request that we'd be up for considering. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So following on from that, we have been looking for months about what we could do about HGV traffic through the high street, and then we narrowed it down to what could we do about nighttime traffic. Now, lots of other villages have already said, you know, we'll do daytime HGVs because you have no choice, but nighttime go somewhere else. And the argument that the routes that you normally use are blocked would disappear. So there's no reason why you shouldn't be using the A27 and other preferred routes as the strategic network says we should use. Horsham, West Sussex have always said we like the idea, but we don't have the enforcement tools. I think we should push it back again and going, you do have the legal position, you know, let's have another conversation about putting something that says, yeah, so the argument was, if we say you can't go through Storrington between 7 and 7, what would make them stop? Well, the thing that makes them stop is ANPR cameras to enforce it. West Sussex would say, well, we can't enforce it, so we don't want to do it. I think the whole argument about you can't do it is now void. They can do it. We can now go back and say, we want 7 to 7, and you can enforce it.
Now, when you say 7 to 7, you're talking about night time.
I think, yeah.
So 1900 to 0700. Yeah.
Something like that.
I
mean, the numbers
I
would-
think we should be doing it 0700 in the morning until 1900 at night, because that's when most of the HGVs come through.
Okay, so whatever the number we agree, because it's got to be practical, because West Sussex are very good at saying it's completely unworkable, so ignore the whole scheme.
I mean, what's the volume that comes through in those daylight hours compared to the volume that comes through in the night time?
Let's wait for this ANPR flow analysis, and we'll come back and answer that properly. Now, I think our first position to West Sussex should be, we want to introduce a nighttime restriction and start that conversation.
For night time?
Well,
So
that's the
you're
next
going
step.
for night time.
That's the next step. That's the next step. Yeah. But let's assume that we start with a night time which says there are alternate routes you could use and you should use.
Could we not
When
assume?
roads are blocked.
Could we not assume that we should ask West Sussex County Council to do something about asking HGVs or enforcing HGVs to go through the preferred route of West Sussex, and we should decide whether we're talking nighttime or daytime later.
Can I say something here? We have been on this again and again and again, and we know West Sussex likes to say no all the time. They have told us they cannot enforce a daytime restriction, but I'm pretty sure that Paul Marshall did say that a TRO could be put on nighttime HGVs. Can I imagine that?
No.
I'm not sure, but it sounds right.
Yeah. So I think that is something.
It's a
You see,
really good
the
start.
thing is, wouldn't it be great if we could just make all of the through traffic from Storrington go
Yeah.
with the flick of a wand? But the problem is we live in a world where we don't have wands that work that well. So what I would be really keen to do is make sure we take it in small bite-sized chunks of achievable things rather than trying to do everything and being told a great big fat no. So, but I think I'd like to try and find out that email from Paul Marshall
Yeah.
suggesting a TRO for nighttime HGVs as well.
So,
Mr. Chairman,
yes.
are we, item 15.d, that's where HDBs and capital maintenance proposal,
Yeah.
are we doing a little
I think we are.
duplication here?
No, we're going to.
Would it be better to actually move that on to that point? Yeah.
Having fair. Okay, so are we happy to move on from item 8? Community highway scheme update and what we're doing next.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Charlotte? The letters to West Sussex will work off from the office for School Hill, night time initially. And the next one I put in is that given that we are likely to have a bikers cafe soon, it was just opening the idea that we should also be applying for acoustic ANPR.
Is there such a thing? I didn't know there was, but okay. Is there such a thing?
What, the biker thing?
No, the records.
There are, apparently at Berry, they introduced a ANPR that was acoustically doing stuff.
Okay. So as long as we put up suitable signs that warn
Yeah,
people, that
absolutely.
would help.
Sure.
That would help.
So
Yeah.
I thought Steve O'Connell said they weren't fit for purpose.
Well, I don't know, yeah.
That's
So
what we
there's I know, and Amberley have a sign up saying, you know, acoustic, but they're not real, not for the video.
I think your best measure, of acoustic pollution, if you like, is going to be residents in that situation.
And also there was
Well,
talk of
I think we should explore whether there is such a thing as an acoustic ANPR,
Please.
and if there
That'd
is,
be good.
then look at whether we would ask West Sussex to be pilot number 2.
Or we could look at acoustic decibel measurement meters. I know they have to be a certain distance from the thing, but
I'll tell you
you
what,
could stand in the street and actually
Sure.
measure some of these if there was it.
the
That is so
acoustic
true.
ANPR will go off the scale almost every night round the Storrington bus stop area, where you obviously get the
well then we need some enforcement there. We can provide the evidence. I mean, it's not up for West Sussex County Council to do traffic enforcement. That's down to the police.
Yeah.
And we should be writing to the police and saying, look, we have this issue.
Yep.
Yeah, and you are the enforcement agency.
Yep.
You need to be here to deal with it.
No problem with that. Police will say we don't have the tools. So
Yeah.
West
No.
Sussex have to approve the tool, which they're doing. So,
Not our
but
problem.
let's do the.
Then
Is
we-
there an AMPR
then we go
acoustic
to-
monitor that is approved for use, and then can we get one that someone will then look at the data and enforce it?
I think it's a sensible idea, particularly what's coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
So moving on to number 10. Okay, so when new housing comes in, there's, I mean, other people in this room will know better than I do, in terms of what we do. So we do an element of we don't want the development, but there also needs to be a point which says, if you do approve this development, we need mitigating traffic management solutions.
Well, that should happen anyway, because one of the consultees from Horsham being the local planning authority, has to consult West Sussex County Council. West Sussex County Council have to tick all sorts of boxes, and they are under an obligation to provide suitable infrastructure.
Sure.
They're not doing it,
Our
they're not
obligation,
doing it,
that's right,
but
is
they
they tick
are
the
under an
box.
obligation
Sure.
to provide suitable infrastructure.
So my question to the committee was, how do we improve our interaction with 106 seal money when developments are coming along? What do we do to influence the decisions about infrastructure? What do we do to get speed changes? What do we do beyond? I have no idea.
Well, they're included in all the applications that come through,
Yeah.
and West Sussex Highways are asked to comment.
Yeah.
And often they say there's no problem at all,
Sure.
or else they indicate a certain amount of that money needs to be put towards. That's what this air quality management
Yeah.
AMPR cameras are there for. That's funded by that money.
So
So
do we
but-
feel as a council that we have enough influence, or what do we do to get ourselves injected further into that process? So I'm thinking of Melton Drive, you know, we would like to see 30 mile an hour up the hill. We'd like to see potentially a seat to remind people we might want 20 mile an hour in the zone.
Well, I think that's down to negotiation with the developers.
So who does the negotiation?
Well, we will be doing that.
We will, okay.
Yeah, well, we're waiting. I'm waiting currently for the go-ahead from the residents there.
Yeah. And by
To
we, you
get-
mean HDC or
No.
parish?
No, the ward councillors.
Yeah, okay.
So that has been done very successfully. They have said they are going to reduce the speed on Farm Road anyway,
Yeah,
but it's clearly not far enough.
okay.
And they're going to do mitigating factors like having an electric car club and things like that. But I think that because it is open to negotiation, I think things like a SID they would be up for doing as well. But I think it would be good to have a list to go to them with.
Yeah, okay. Because I think that's the missing point from my side, is that the parish council have not been engaged early enough to give our view. I mean, we've got you now that will sponsor that middle ground, but I think that we should be more active in, you know, because we have a much better view of what the traffic situation is for our village.
Yeah, yeah.
If there's money, if there's money available for ANPR cameras, is it only for one, or can we ask for more than one?
Sorry, Alan, I don't know what you're talking about. You're talking about the AQMA.
The grants, no, the grants that are being put out to buy safety equipment or seal money for safety equipment such as ANPR cameras.
Where does that come from?
So the APR stuff that we got reserved was from our internal budget. We have had two funding streams. We've been able to go out and get companies so we've got the police to sponsor 2 cameras. We had a care home
PCC's
sponsor
got money
2.
that she can allocate.
Yeah, exactly. So
And I think
and
West
then
Sussex,
additionally-
a portion have got money that they can allocate. I'm not sure if you say they haven't been on.
I'd really like to kind of direct this through the
but
chair, Alan, if that's
additionally,
possible.
we have put a budget in our own internal that comes out of precept or seal money for certain projects. So in terms of approaching someone for more, what's your thinking?
Well, just thinking if we're going to be spending £7,000 on one AMPR, if there is money available, should we be looking at asking for more?
I think I can probably answer that. And the fact is, yes, we do, and we've investigated all the funding streams, and we've managed to get from PCC, we've managed to get from a local developer a contribution for the people that are developing the WAF home. We use some of our own internal budget, and we explore all the funding streams.
Okay.
So there isn't. We do.
Okay, so this was just an awareness that we would want to encourage our partners to include the parish in conversations about,
I think if you can get to a list or we can work together on that, I'd be really, really happy to do that.
lovely, thank
Yeah,
you.
that would be really helpful.
Okay, so one of my big projects, and Charlotte and myself have spent quite a lot of time on this, is looking at, and so has Claudia actually, to make sure that our pavements are accessible. So we're talking about hedging that's overgrown, we're talking about where growth has now taken half the pavement away. What can we do? What does Horsham do? What does West Sussex do? And therefore, what's the gap? Looking forward about what the devolution may bring. How do we understand how much money is allocated for this function that we may take on as a parish to do the same function? So it's quite a big topic. But what I notice is that when the leaves come down, or when acorns, our residents are at peril, effectively. You know, we have mobility buggies that are hanging onto pavements. It's just understanding who should be responsible for doing it, and the process of actually getting it done when it's not been done in time that we want it. Claudia's done some work with Horsham. Recently, West Sussex did a lovely cleaning job of the middle of the road and missed a foot along the gully.
Is that West Sussex or HDC?
I don't know, I think that felt like a road cleaning rather than pavement cleaning.
But
anyway,
they
there
do
are many.
it's HDC.
Okay. Well, there's many people involved, but the result was they've gone down with a lovely machine and failed. Yeah, so they'll go, we've done it, and we'll go, pavements are rubbish, road is still rubbish, drains are still filling up.
What was I didn't see, but what was the result of the Fapen Road clean up last week?
So they've cleaned the pavements nicely, but they've only cleared the bit that was basically loose debris. So that bit got cleared. The bit that's overgrown and it's mud and dirt and leaves and all stuck really needs a mechanical clearer. And as we know, because we've been doing a lot of local clearing, it's difficult. It's not easy. There's loads of stuff generated. Yeah.
Can you give me feedback and I'll go back to
sure.
them again, because they were very helpful. I only asked on Wednesday and they did it on Friday.
No, and it was a great
and
job.
they did a road clean as well, so that's how
right,
I know
they
they
did.
did it.
Yeah,
Was that a good road
it
clean?
was a good, yeah.
Oh, good. Okay,
Yeah.
so
No, so the
I
feedback
thank
from
them
them was
for it.
brilliant. It just wasn't. So they've said that they've achieved a 1.2 metre clearance, but I don't think they have. I mean, they've done it at some points, but there are definitely points where it's not 1.2, and if you're in a little ring road. But it does need a mechanical clearer. So as a parish, we have looked at whether we would buy such equipment, how we would do that. Could we offset it with a grant from Horsham for the bit that we do instead of them doing it? We've not really moved it on much more than that at this point.
okay, well I'm happy to help in any way
Okay.
with that, yeah.
I think quite a lot of this agenda is about who in the team can help do the work, because the office can't do it all, I can't do it all, so it's really about hands, sort of getting up to do some of this work with us. School routes we know have been really important. We want to make sure that anyone going to and from school can do it safely. Brambles aren't pushing them into the road, that basically it's safe to do so. I think that's more of an update than a request for any action from the team.
Do you want to just update on the kind of summary of yesterday?
Yeah, would you like to do that for me, Charlotte?
We met with the pavements yesterday. We did a risk assessment, so I haven't completed that in writing yet. Just didn't have time to get that submitted today. So we went along the High Street from Tesco roundabout, past up Start Up School Hill, and then back down the other side, both four sides. We took photos of upwards of, I would say about 60 photographs of areas either that we measured that were, if the guidance is 1.2 metres for a pavement, some under 600. We watched a girl yesterday with 2 children walking and a pushchair. As she went past Nigel's shop, she had to push her buggy into the road to get her to go around the pavement around the corner. That's not acceptable for her. So for anybody. So we did that yesterday. We'll provide a kind of overview to everybody with all the risks that we see them, and we've tried to kind of gauge what the risk factor is. We're using the Health and Safety Executives Framework and some guidance on pavement management that's issued by the council, or is it Highways that issued it? I can't remember, you sent it to me. But anyway, so sorry that's not ready for today, but we did that yesterday as part of the project of looking at the state of the pavements and really trying to look at the target areas that are priority. We met a couple of lovely residents on the way, which was really positive. We spoke to a couple of people with pushchairs, young children walking, as well as trying to push a baby. None will use the informal crossings anywhere in our village at all. They are quoted as too dangerous. If you're pushing a wheelchair, if you're pushing a pushchair is one thing. If you're pushing a pushchair and you've got a couple of children as well, there was just no confidence that anybody would even stop, or that it was actually even a safe place to cross regardless. I mean, some of the informal points are actually on the roundabout themselves. So we'll summarise that in a document and get that out to everybody. What it means for actions and recommendations, we haven't got that far. It's just starting to document some of what we've seen, on both sides of the high street.
Yeah.
So,
And we need to be mindful that West Sussex will introduce new crossings that are informal. So Spearbridge Road crossing for kids will be just an informal crossing, which we already know throughout the whole village are ignored. So the idea that you put this crossing in is much safer. We need to keep campaigning. I've asked West Sussex whether we could have zebra crossings, and they say that the cost prohibits. Basically, it's 150 grand to put in a couple of sticks with lights and a black and white surface. But they will put drop curbs, which everyone ignores.
Yeah.
So
Is that what an informal crossing is?
Yeah.
So
It's the raised dots.
yeah,
it's a sort of
tactile.
slightly, and it's a raised dots,
Yeah.
sort of sensory.
You're reliant on the good
On the good will of the
driver to
driver.
actually let you
But when the exit points, the drop curb is actually on the roundabout itself. I mean, it's not going. So the one lady I spoke to said she literally walked all the way down to the lights, crossed over, and then came all the way back, almost to the point she'd started, rather than take her children across that. So as a minimum, for the Glebe surgery increase in footfall at the bottom of Monastery Lane there, one that comes out by Stable Antiques would seem to be a priority for a zebra crossing as a minimum.
I mean, if we had the choice, if a community highway scheme looked at a community highway scheme rather than just one project at a time, we would have put in crossings for Amberley Road, we would have put in something for Mandy's Hill, we'd have looked at a proper strategy for traffic in Storrington, but you're only allowed one project at a time. So this time we picked that particular project, which is to try and slow the whole traffic in the whole village, but it means that we don't have crossing points. And the obscene and outdated concept of taking tactile, which are meant to be for impaired vision, and you literally land them at the top of a roundabout and go, there you go. I mean, it's just nuts. I mean, we've had that with cars coming out of Monastery Lane going, it's dangerous. The idea is someone walking across those that has no vision because it's a tactile paving. I mean, honestly, we are just as lucky as you like. It's not design, it's luck.
I want to just raise the point of the possibility of putting a speed hump on the road, because traffic that's going westbound up the high street can see up past the Tesco garage. You can see whether there's traffic going to come down at
Absolutely right.
So they do not slow down, and that corner is like that with a stop line, because it's supposed to, straight on is supposed to be the Amberley Road.
Absolutely.
And they keep signalling left,
Yeah.
and they're not actually
They-
turning
no,
left.
that's right, they
They're
don't
going
mean that.
straight on.
But you're
And
right.
they arrive there at such a speed that anybody trying to come out of Monastery Lane
Sure.
is taking their lives in their hands. So they're
Absolutely agree.
back by that central island ought to be some hump.
agreed.
to
I
slightly.
mean, geometry of that lane does make you want to project yourself up Abbey Road. We have discussed with highways whether we could put a table, rather than a hump, outside the nice looking house with the hedge. We were told though that if there's the slightest resistance, they would say no to it. So the chap on the road, on that corner house, has already said to us, don't do anything with this road. I don't mind the speed. I've been caught 4 times speeding, so I'm okay.
Move it slightly further back, opposite the village hall. wouldn't
Sure,
it?
that might be an option.
That might be.
Yeah,
You know,
I mean,
it will make people to think about just whistling through there because they can see up the Pulborough Road.
Paul Marshall's view was though,
Actually got, sorry to interrupt, we've actually got where I was honing my Photoshop skills, or I actually did exactly that when we were going for that. The possibility of them doing something to the end of Monastery Lane there, where I was actually cutting and pasting road cushions into that proximity, into that area. It was dismissed out of hand, quite frankly.
Yeah, so can I update also, can I also update please, residents at the Glebe have asked for some measures there. What they asked, they've said exactly the same thing, wrote to Paul Marshall and got a reply 2 days ago, saying, with regard to traffic calming measures, a dome has been recently reinstated at the roundabout. Additionally, the Parish Council has submitted an application for a speed limit reduction on certain roads in Storrington. The application is currently under review and we may expect a decision to be made early next year. If you would like to propose further traffic measures, a community highway scheme application would need to be submitted. Please note the deadline for next year's scheme is the 31st of July 2006. For an application to be successful, it's important to provide substantial supporting data, evidence and demonstrate strong public support, which
so
means
that's a no.
it's a no.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just a very long way of saying no.
it's a no.
Well, we also had the objection came back that there would be HGV traffic clunking as it went over
Yes, they
a road cushion or a road hump, therefore that would be worse than actually having a road.
Paul Marshall's
So-
been very supportive though of one of the schemes would be reducing the speed of the traffic so that 30 mile an hour is not acceptable, so at 20 you might have a better chance. Then if you're approaching a junction, perhaps it's 15. So I think he was quite optimistic that that would be one of the measures that would help. It depends on whether they approve the
I
scheme.
mean, the thing about reducing the traffic is it has those multiple benefits, but it's also can be switched over if it doesn't work, and it doesn't cost very much to stick up a sign.
Yeah.
Whereas a speed hump will cost about £25,000, which is more than the whole of the community highway scheme will cost. If the
I'd do it for half that.
yeah.
Okay, so I'm conscious we have quite a lot left, so I'm going to be really quick with the next bit. So road signs, we come to the time of year where we can actually get and trim bushes, shrubs. We were putting out something to the council and our neighbours to help us clear signs. Sullington Traffic Group did a lot of this work last year. I'd like to suggest we promote that same scheme.
Would that be people coming out of their houses and doing the one that's outside there?
Yeah, or some of us though that just go around for several, well, clear back
We just
pitching.
spent a morning doing it and got loads of them.
Yeah. But we're now at the right time.
It really did make a
It
difference.
does make such a difference.
Is there any liability implication there?
Well, we've been working with the office to get some standard letters that we'd give to residents saying, you know, if you don't do it, we'll do it. If you can't do it, we'll do it. Something that encourages some cooperation.
Okay.
But you're right, there is a liability. If we cut someone's bush down and they say, I didn't want it cut down, regardless of how legal or illegal,
But also being in proximity of the road, cutting back
yeah,
the road
that,
sign,
sure, we are liable to make sure.
that it's done safely and we have.
That's why I applauded myself to do it hanging on to the edge of the road.
Yeah.
No insurance required.
I wanted to just consider whether the wardens would be able to be part of this if they were on a walk around and spotted that something needed something doing,
I think
either just to report that back to the parish council.
take a picture, send
Take
it
a
in.
picture, but also, you know, maybe go and knock on the door of of the house, just to have a chat and
Yeah.
say, did you realise
Well,
there's
that's
this?
one of the things, the standard
I think-
letter, Chris has already said that he'd be happy to deliver a letter that says, we've noticed and could you look at it, and if not, phone
And
to
if
the
someone's
office.
infirm or it's
That's
a
exactly
challenge,
right.
then we could actually
Yeah.
get some volunteers to come and do
Indeed.
it. I think it might be a very nice way of increasing the sense of community as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. I
We
think-
could issue the wardens with secretaries.
Yeah,
So
well,
then-
I'll try that idea.
Yeah.
Okay, Brown's main update. So I recently met with some residents and their concern was that vehicles are rubbing up against their hedging, their fencing. I mean, we already know the potholes are ridiculous, but that road is a footpath only. It has been adopted over many years. It is.
It is.
But it was signposted as a major diversion today.
Yes, that may
You
be true.
can't use the footpath as a major diversion.
You should not, but that doesn't make it right. It is not. It is a footpath. West Sussex should not be doing that, and they would be
Access.
against law. So it is a footpath, there's no question.
Yeah.
The real debate is that the residents have access to use it to get to their garages. So there's probably about 20 properties that have rights to use it. Everyone else, no. The question is, could we put a bollard in the middle of the road and block it for everyone?
It used to be.
It used to
It
be.
used to be, yeah.
West Sussex are keen to explore that and are exploring it legally to make sure that there's whatever criteria. There'll be a public, a resident issue, because people have got used to it. We've got Ravenscross being developed in the future that may, there's no legal right to use the road, but I don't know whether they'll be trying to encourage it.
Why don't we just get it resurfaced and upgraded?
No one will do it. So there's no ownership of the land. So West Sussex won't touch it. We have put a budget in about £4,000 from the parish council to address minor repairs. So cutting out the holes, putting back some level of surface, but not to adopt it, not to do anything formal. There's basically no appetite to do work on that space until somebody puts a hand up and says we own it. West Sussex would consider, if we put a bollard, making it pedestrian safe.
But
That's
that would then increase traffic volume in the high street and therefore pollution in the high street.
Possibly.
But then it would reduce traffic volume to a wrap up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
It's a
just
residential wrap-up.
displace them onto the high street.
Sure. So
It's
Yeah.
not a road though, is it?
I would
It's not a road, and
propose,
there's a nursery there.
my proposal is that next committee, I bring forward a white paper, just some information, once West Sussex have done their research, and then we'll talk about it more informatively next time. Yeah. I mean, there's nothing to say, West Sussex doing their bit, we would have to go back to residents, it's a footpath that we use by default. I mean, it's a bit of a pickle, to be honest.
It needs something to happen.
Well, two areas actually, because the first one to stop people going up and then having to reverse somehow. And even the residents, so the person on the road, right in the corner said, I would go round to get to my garage, which is at the back, rather than, so that's
Can we
sort of
break the
level
cycle,
of
John? What's to say we shouldn't spend 4,000 repairing it because somebody has to do something? What's to say we don't do that and put a bollard there with, local input? What, is there anything we can, again, this has gone, I've sat and listened to this, we all have, because of the situation, but is a way to break the cycle that we can do that with local input, can we?
There is
just a bollard.
are you talking about repairing it?
Yeah, before
There is an issue there because if you repair it and then somebody has an accident as a result of you repairing it, or on a repaired road, then we would be liable.
Yeah, it's a bit
Now,
of a minefield.
the adoption, we asked West Sussex County Council whether they would adopt it. They would only adopt it if it was brought up to West Sussex County Council standard, which is going to cost an awful lot more than £4,000. And then you've got to cover off this idea that the reality that it is actually a pedestrian only
So it stays that way till the end of the world as we know it.
Well,
At the moment.
we are
Yeah.
progressing it. West Sussex
Yeah.
are looking legally about what the position is,
Okay.
what the residents would have to sign up to allow it to be blocked for their access, whether West Sussex would then adopt it for a footpath only, not for vehicle traffic, and then we'd have to go and sell it to the residents, even though they shouldn't be using it. You know, it's like, if you say to someone, you can't use it and you shouldn't be allowed to anyway, people will kick off, so we have to be, it's a bit of a step. This is just an update ready for next time. Hopefully West Sussex will have the info for us.
Footpath only.
That's what it's legally meant to be, yeah. But it doesn't even allow, it's not even a bridleway, so, you know, cycles shouldn't use it, the horses shouldn't use it. You know, so there's quite a lot of sort of fudging to be done. But West Sussex currently are looking at the legal position of closing it, making it a secure, active travel route.
When might we hear back from West Sussex? Or don't we
Well,
know?
they were really keen, so I would imagine by the time we have their next meeting, I think we'll have something to brief properly. Budget setting, future projects. Okay, so this was the idea that we've always talked about making the high street more appealing to visitors. One of the things we've talked about is whether we put more trees in pots, that sort of idea. It is just to get an idea, and I will put some numbers together, just say when we're fighting for budget, in order for us to achieve this, it will cost X. Then at some point there'll be a big scrap where we all decide which projects we can take forward, which are our priorities. But I think, I've just put down some ideas about what I think are good projects. We already talked about it earlier. Let me know if there's something that we've not thought about, we put it out there and say, should we consider? We'll cost it, we'll put it into the budget cycle. If it doesn't appear in this year, we can look at it for next year. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So, our High Street. I have been talking to West Sussex for probably about a year and a half to say we need to resurface our High Street. West Sussex say it doesn't meet the criteria. I keep going back saying, well, you did Holmere and you did Spear Bridge, how so? So we're just going around that circle again. I have nothing to report except I think that we should be continually pushing West Sussex until we have something. There's nothing to agree here until we get something to say. Just an update.
Which set are you talking about? I'm assuming specifically outside the moon.
Well, no,
There's a
I'm
really bad
thinking.
stretch, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm thinking. So
I think we're talking from Tesco's up to.
no, West Street's not too bad. So West Street has been done relatively recently. So if you go to Tribe and then down to Yanker, that's the worst
that
bit.
bit
Yeah,
where
that's
you've got
desperate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
where it
Bad
needs.
from Tribes for about 100 metres west, though.
Yeah.
Pretty bad along.
Yeah, it's got its points as well, sure.
Yeah.
But at the moment, they're just saying that all of our, and when we look at our potholes at the moment, I mean, we've just sent in some pictures saying, what on earth? You know, they've said to me,
I would agree with Mark that if we go from Tesco's,
yeah, that would be the best
100
option.
at the same time as we're doing the research.
Sure.
Yeah.
At the moment, we don't even get on the list.
Yeah.
So I'm asking what the criteria is, how do they get in? You said that they should have been picked up in the monthly cycle, or what did the last month's cycle say? So I will
Well,
share this via email when I get anything that's useful.
And we're talking here about a proper resurfacing,
Well,
That will have
yeah.
not
not just dressing.
shoving.
A look at the price.
Yeah.
presumably a proper resurface actually has benefits in terms of noise,
Yeah,
noise,
yeah,
tire
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got some commercial benefit if we make a high street.
So that could come with one of these scouring machines that takes off the top 6 inches.
That's right, that's what you need.
Yeah, a plain.
And do it once rather than every 6 weeks doing something else. I'm going to jump through the rest. I think I'd like you all to look at 14, see if there's any other things that we haven't, any other projects that you think we should be adding, and email me.
Already talked about most of them.
Yeah, I think we have. Yeah. So HGVs, Alan. I think we've probably done that pretty well.
Did you see my position paper.
Yeah, I think that's
I
a
think
good template that we can consider. It was a bit late for me to read it properly, but I think the essence, I mean, we've been talking about this for nearly 2 years. You know, HD views for the high street is a problem. Our alternative routing is the bigger problem. So I think, you know, we'll send that in saying we are still disappointed, we'll make our voices heard, we'll do everything we can to say there has to be a longer-term solution while we're working on our short-term solution. We had some letters recently, most of them around overgrown foliage, people that can't walk up and down their roads. So I think we've covered the principle that we will be looking for volunteering teams, we'll be looking for Horsham to let us know what they are prepared, what West Sussex would do, and then we'll just get out there and do our thing. Yeah.
Let me know of any pavements that need
Sure.
dealing with,
That's
and
what
I'll
I'll
just get
ask Chris to
straight
do.
onto them.
If we got that down with
It's
Chris to just let us know if he
Just,
sees
I could just
stuff
do it
that's
on a weekly
overgrown.
basis.
Well, I'll send you
What
a
is
document
walking,
as
just a
well.
That would
photograph
be
and
helpful,
send
thank
it
you.
into us.
there's private hedges that I don't think we'd be allowed to touch in.
That's right, it's difficult. Yeah, Absolutely.
That's the big problem. Hedges overgrowing the road, pushing traffic out.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So there's an order that can
You
be
can,
put on the resident if they're not doing it,
Yeah.
where it makes it.
Yeah.
we'll
We had a
take it.
joint letter with West Sussex that allows us to tell them that we're unhappy. The process of following up is unproven. We've had some various things that haven't worked, and after 6 months still haven't worked. So we'll try again.
It would be nice to have a guy on the corner of Monastery Lane and
Well,
the cut
that's
hedge
for
back
you to
so
do.
that we could see up the road.
Yeah. Well, you can have a chat with him because I've tried a few times.
There's another letter kicking about which was around today, but I don't know if it sits in this. It was about the graffiti.
Okay. Yeah, that's one I sent to Chris, just saying what could we do.
Sorry,
Where's that one? I haven't seen that one.
no, it was. Chris Paul has had conversations with this chap, and there's a note saying a letter would be useful, but I'm not sure who owning it. I think this is one of the weaknesses in the liaison between the community. You know, no. You know, I think it's just difficult because the letters come in. Sometimes they just go astray, and then who owns them? Someone's got to own it all the way through.
Yeah.
I don't mind helping with editing or drafting, but you know, I that graffiti
I think
one
it's
is
something
just
we
hanging in the wind.
Take to ICE.
Hmm?
We'll take that to ICE and
Okay.
say, for resident letters, what are we going to do to handle them?
Because there was the letter from the gentleman which was cars perpetually parking
Oh,
the lay-by by the pond.
So I'm conscious
Oh, yeah,
that
that's something
we've
as well.
spent 2 years looking at the traffic issues in Storrington, but what we've never done is actually produce a traffic and transport plan. We're too busy doing the work. I am aware, though, that other, Pulborough as an example, have a lovely little plan
Well,
about
we
what
did
they
start
do.
a plan.
We did start a plan, yeah.
Because I did it in PowerPoint.
Yeah, but so we need to really come back to it. We need to have volunteers to get a plan. We should be doing it road by road. So when we look at Water Lane, our 40 to 30 should be in the plan, a potential roundabout, blah, blah, blah. Every area should be in our plan, and then it's no surprise to any of us. We can campaign against those or with those to whoever will listen to us. I think we've all had too much tonight to be trying to look for volunteers. But I will be asking next time how we could shape a transport plan. I'll circulate one that Pulborough have done. I think that's a really good start.
Would you do it by road? That's the only thing we
That's
do.
right, I think we would.
Isn't that implementation? I think we started only into strategic level then, James.
Yeah, we
we
did.
didn't start getting down into the nitty-gritty.
No, and that's what we need to do, because Water Lane residents are saying to me, why isn't this road 30, why is this? And, you know, we've got it in our heads. We've done a lot of work, but it needs to be something where we go. It's on page 27.
Some will be able to do without even getting the job, but there'll be other things that we
Yeah.
need to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was the only, you've got a workload issue there.
Yeah.
Because that's quite a task. Are we utilising AI in any respect to actually develop framework plans like that?
Happy for assistance. Mark said he will produce an
AI says.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, I think that I don't know how to start it, it's just huge. And Aldborough have 10 roads and we have 10,000 roads.
I think you need a plan of Storrington with all the street names. Some of us that have been around a long time will know those roads.
Is that me, you, Bill?
Yeah. And we can pick on where we know there's problems to start
And we will
with.
know,
Yeah.
and actually on that draft plan you can just tick off the roads which are easy and those that we actually physically perhaps have to go and visit.
Yeah.
And we can formulate a team.
Yeah.
Those that are working, it might be difficult for them to do, but depending on us,
We
it can
start-
take a few hours out to do it.
We started with prioritising of the key sort of trunk roads, as I was calling them, the key Aldborough, Amberley, Manley's Hill, School Hill. We started with the kind of and the High Street. So I need to go and dig it out. We started at a very high level of what we were trying to do. So, and then it just needs a plan. Though is the strategy, your objectives and goals.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not if you. Depends how far you want to go, because it can take months if you start going into the nitty-gritty of every single road at this point, but I would suggest grouping them together in what problem you're trying to solve for each one, or the risk factors in it, or whatever that is. But
The frustration is when someone
we need a
will delay.
brainstorming meeting, I think, to just agree what our framework wants to look like. So if you've got the Pulborough one, we can use to
Yeah,
kind
I
of...
think it's a good start point. But my frustration is when someone on Water Lane says, have you thought about? And we've been going, yes, so many times, we're progressing it, we're doing this, but there's no document, there's nothing you can send them to say, here's what we've been doing for 18 months. Yeah, it almost sounds like if we respond, it's like a new idea. And very few of the ideas we have currently are new. It's just not documented.
But we'll have to have a list of the criteria that we're
Yeah,
measuring the
well,
roads collectively for, whether it's road surface,
Yeah.
width,
Safety,
whatever
school
it might be.
routes, whatever,
And,
sure.
and you won't want dozens and dozens because it will just get so long and confusing. We just want to keep it fairly concise.
And there's priorities that we are going to be selling. You know, there are things that every time anyone says to us something, we will say, you know, Water Lane is a problem, Friar Road is a problem. This development will cause this, so we'll be thinking ahead.
I'm just looking, Petworth has a traffic and highways forward action plan, which is their own, that's the parish council, so that's an action plan. So that, again, that's
Well-
kind of fallout of a structure plan, so it depends what we
Yeah.
want, what
Well,
we're looking for.
We'll put those on a-
Maybe we could crib some of theirs.
We will. Let's put those on a OneDrive and share that folder so people can have a look at what other people are doing. The Pulborough one, as I say, was done recently. It just made me feel that we should have something like it. That we,
Yeah, totally agree.
Theirs is a forward action plan which details the projects and initiatives they're working through on behalf of the people of Petworth. It's an ongoing working document, so they don't post it on the website
sure.
because it's an ongoing working
Yeah.
document.
Well, that's what ours would be. It'd be evolving always. Okay, so do I have anything to announce?
Just coming back.
The truck one.
Yeah. So for those that are not in a loop, there's been a complaint about vehicles parking by the pond that are basically staying there forever.
A vehicle.
There was
Eight
one
vehicles,
big white van.
Yeah.
There's also there's another car that's been there as well. Sorry,
Does he live local?
don't know. I'm not sure.
Whoever parks the van, whoever owns the van,
Not
Don't
certain.
think
I have a feeling it might be
does he have somewhere else to park?
part, you might live just down
Swan Close.
But
Swan Close, Swan Close. Feeling you might be.
that wasn't the only complaint though. There's one car that's been parked there for 3 weeks and the one I've seen is for sale.
Yes,
and I
that's
just
the one.
wonder whether it's just been planted and, you know, like,
Well, that's, you're not allowed to have cars on the highway for sale.
well, I mean,
So-
it has a sign sort of discreetly, there's no number, but it's for sale.
There's no number.
Well, there is if you look at his
Well,
passenger.
that is something you can
Don't say.
report to the West Sussex County Council. That is definitely not allowed.
Okay, well,
So
that would be
public
one thing
vehicles
to
on
do.
the highway for
Yeah.
sale, that's
Okay.
not allowed.
Who would,
So if I don't know tomorrow,
who would
I'll take a
look at
picture of
that
it
and inform, would that
I'll
be,
have to go through because
Would that
we
be
I tried to do my best to sort out the
would it be
all the
police
Kia
or-
cars.
The question to the committee will be though, do we want to look for some regulation that says you can park for 2 hours a day or something that would manage that situation?
Well, we don't have the right to enforce that, so
But we'd
I
have to
don't
ask
know.
what Sussex
Sure.
has to do.
Yeah.
That's what we'd have to, I think
That's right.
that's very simple.
But we'd
thing
ask
to
for
do.
traffic regulation that said, you know, you can't park here all day, you know, this is for whatever.
Just
Are we
2 hour
minded to
restriction
do
or
that?
one. Yeah,
Sorry?
I think so, yeah.
Would you research it for us?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you, Claudia. Yeah, that will help, won't it? Just a little move along. Okay, well, that's all I have. Anyone have any questions tonight?
have we covered any other outstanding letters or emails that have come in? I
Well,
thought,
Washington Road was a hedging monastery.
Monastery of the Glebe, that was interesting. What's the subject there?
I am not certain.
Is it about access into the doctor's parking
I
area?
don't know. No, sorry. I'm going to have to defer that because I don't know.
Come back to you on that.
Apologies, everyone.
yeah.
I don't have. Tomorrow I will know. I should look. I'll circulate it, and then if there's something we could do offline to move it forward, I can't recall now. It probably is to do with the height of the wall and so on. But
Maybe it's maybe I was thinking of the van. Anyways, I don't know.
Because I have an issue with cars trying to get out of the doctor's surgeries and other cars trying to swing wide.
Oh,
Yeah, in through that narrow entrance.
that's something that's come up in a recent planning.
I'm working with the residents on that one, and they're in negotiation with the surgery and also the owners of the developers of the housing.
Okay, perfect.
So I can update you another time.
Please.
if you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's an accident waiting to happen in that car park.
Are we happy people? It's quarter to
Standing
9.
in front of
Should we
it,
close?
it's like-
Can I close it? Quarter to 9. Thank you, everyone.